Good morning to you all. Here we are, Chronicles, Hwange Chronicles. We are with engineer who has come up with an idea which is new, a new technology in building structures. So I'm going to allow the engineer to introduce himself and the products.
Okay. I'm engineer Lesley Nyirenda, and I've been working on this particular product, which is essentially a polystyrene sandwich wall with concrete leaves. And I've been working with this product for about 2 years, and it's exciting where we're taking it. It's been around for a few decades across the world, but it's starting to pick up here in Zimbabwe, and we're pushing it to even greater heights.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, engineer. Good to know you, engineer. I have a few questions for you here that we can run down. I want to know what is the name of the panels you are producing, and what made you decide on the size, say maybe the thickness of the material you're using.
Okay, so we call it the ICA Future House panel or an EPS panel, which is short for expanded polystyrene panel. And then the actual size is basically based on um, just how much a person can carry because it's designed to be able to be fixed by a single person on site. And then in terms of insulation, it's basically optimized for your normal climate conditions in terms of trying to keep the inside cool when the outside is warm and vice versa. So that's based on a lot of extensive research that was done to find the optimal thickness for the panel and the sizing for it to be handled easily in terms of transportation and also to be fixed on site.
Interesting, interesting. You sound so confident with your product. My next question now will be: I wanted to know, have you used this product in any projects around this world or in Africa?
Yes, I have. People have used it around the world. Me personally, we've used it in certain places in Zimbabwe. And funny when you mention, I sound confident because when I started as an engineer, I was very not confident. I was very skeptical. But after looking at studies that were done on the product and also seeing it take shape and seeing the lab studies and doing my own calculations, that's how I gained confidence in it. So our pilot project we did in Czech, which was a two-bedroom home with a team that was actually training. And right now we're using it on a cluster development in Harare, and we're using it for the pools there, the two-story buildings there, and the storage reservoirs for water. And then there are other projects that are in planning, of course.
Nice one, interesting. Interesting. I am hoping this session will get you more clients to like this product, and you're going to like the business.
We'll see.
Interesting.
Hopefully.
Over to the next question. What are the advantages, and what does the material have as opposed to the conventional, traditional building methods?
I think the best way to run through the advantages is because many for different people, different things are important to them when it comes to construction. So I'll just run through what other people have said are the advantages as opposed to it coming from me. I talked to a guy recently who was really amazed at the speed of construction. Now, if you understand how construction projects are financed, you really understand why speed is such an important factor. So if you can cut down your time to build by even 40%, that's a lot. It's big. The other advantage I think is it comes with insulation. So a lot of people in Zimbabwe are blessed with a very good climate, but if you go to more extreme areas like very cold Lowveld and your Victoria Falls, which is very hot, and where you use a lot of AC, and then you realize the importance of actually having a material that comes with insulation. So I think that's a big winner compared to conventional forms of construction like brickwork. And of course, there are other advantages like sustainability and that you're using much less material. So that's better for the environment. Even before we look at going green with the product, like introducing plastic additives into it, just by virtue of using up to 50% less material, that's better for the environment.
Interesting, interesting. Oh, my next question is: considering the size of your panels, can they be used in high-rise buildings?
Yes, they can. So, in fact, the panel was first used in high-rise buildings as an infill wall panel. That means you already have a building structure out of concrete or steel, and then you just use the panel for cladding. But with better technology, better understanding through studies at universities, we've realized, hey, we can use this as the load-bearing material. So in fact, we normally limit it to about 4 stories, but in other places they use it for up to 6 stories, built upon itself without additional structural support in the form of concrete frames, reinforced concrete frames, or steel frames. But again, when you want to go much higher, then you'd have to go to your standard forms of construction, like RC frames and steel frames. But up to about 4, 5, 6 stories, you can just use this product and it works.
Interesting. Seems to be working.
Yeah, it
Seems to be
is.
working. Now, can you say something about on carbon footprint during manufacturing? How much is it
Okay.
maybe producing,
Okay.
considering this climate change and global warming?
Yeah, as with many products, I mean, producing something like expanded polystyrene uses a lot of energy. So you're using a lot of energy to produce that. But we also look at the benefits that you're actually using less material with this, so you're offsetting some of that those emissions that you're giving out in your production process. But again, also when you use it in the building and you're using less energy to climate control your building, you're also saving. So when we look at the life cycle CO2 emissions, they're less than your standard construction. They still can be better because you still have plastic in that product, and that's why we're still doing research and trying to replace that polystyrene with something that's more viable. We're looking at even biotype materials that are like byproducts of agricultural processes. And that is why Zimbabwe is a good place to go with that, as we know we're an agricultural powerhouse. So we can use, I mean, I can't speak to some of the research that's going on into this specifically, but there is research going on to actually replace that polystyrene and make it greener. And in fact, our end goal is to be net zero carbon, and you can't do that really when you still have polystyrene.
Interesting. Out of interest, I'm realizing you're using these panels on houses, and there's holes. Am I right? So I wanted to know if they can be used in floors or in rigid pavements, like on the roads or.
Yes, so in fact, we've mostly presented it as a wall panel, but it can be used as a slab panel without modifications for short spans, like up to 3, 4, 5 meters. If you want to go longer, then we modify the panel to be a proper floor slab with ribs in them. So it's not just a floor panel. And from the presentation earlier, we showed that we've even used it for reservoirs. So we're taking it places. In terms of using it for things like paving and floors, we're not yet there, especially for roads. But recently, I was doing my own research. As I said, this thing takes a lot of research to see where we can take it, and I just found it's very applicable for areas with bed soils and where you want to use foundations like on piles. And so normally, how you build those foundations, say a raft on expansive soils, is you load your panel with a lot of force when you get moisture into that soil and the soil expands. So if you can have something like polystyrene, then it's good because that expansion of the polystyrene can accommodate that expansion from the soil. So this becomes a very good material compared to a solid floor because it actually allows that expansion of the soil underneath the foundation. So that's another application where it can be good.
Interesting, interesting. As we conclude our discussion, engineer, please tell us about the heat resistance and maybe weight of the panels as you are using them. How are they proving to be sustainable?
Okay, so in terms of the weight, I actually did the two-bedroom house that I presented earlier. I did a full calculation of the actual weight of the building, and it came out 60% lighter than the same building done with your normal brick and mortar. So that's very light. But beyond that, in terms of the actual work on site, remember you're positioning these panels where you want them to be and then spraying on the concrete. A single person can hoist a whole panel. So it's even easier to do higher floors because it's very light. And then in terms of the finished material, I brought a sample and if you've ever tried to lift a block, you need two hands, and we'll hear you making some sounds when you're lifting it. But with this one, with a single hand, you can pick it up. It's very light. It's good
Wow.
material. Yeah.
Thank you, engineer. Thank you. Without taking much of your time, please introduce. Please say shout out to everyone out there, and please give us a round of conclusion to this.
Okay. Well, I just want to say thank you for having me here, and thank you. We had a good reception about this product. Normally, when you have something novel, people tend to be skeptical. I know because I was skeptical, because that's what we tend to be as engineers. But I think after seeing it being built and the advantages, then it's something that's being taken up. So I want to thank my team for having the faith in this product and taking the plunge to try to introduce it to the country. Obviously, I also want to say hi to my family, hi to my wife, hi to my friends and colleagues who've been with me on this journey and who are going to be continue to be on this journey with me. And obviously, to everyone watching or listening, just want to invite you to come with us on this wonderful journey and have Zimbabwe at the front of innovation in building construction.
Thank you, engineer.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Here's to more clients too.